Hey, welcome into a brand new edition of the Gimme the Hot Sauce podcast. Stacey King and I here in the spacious Sriracha studios, but no Timmy Whispers. I thought he was going to be here today. What happened?
Well, you know what? Knowing it's raining in Chicago, I guarantee there's a delay. He had a delay.
Oh, he's flying from Phoenix today?
On Saturday. I talked to him on Saturday. He was talking about he was going to try to make the show. I told him, hey, don't rush, man. If you don't make it, you don't make it. It's okay.
Well, his skin is so red they couldn't take off. He's like giving off for red signals or something. You know?
Hey, I'm telling you what, man. I'm telling you, he gets red. But I'm telling you, you should see his brother Chris. We're gonna bring Chris in here one day. Chris stays red 24/7, 365, even during the winter because he lives in Wisconsin. And every time you see him when he goes to a Bulls game, he's red. I'm like, dude, it's snowing outside.
Cold and shit in Wisconsin.
How the hell are you red? But he is like scanners.
Yeah.
His head's gonna explode. That's my boy. Shout out to Chris.
Yeah, you were down there with the whole clan for the wedding a few weeks ago.
Yes. I tell you, that Irish
they know how to party too, don't they?
That Irish family, baby, they know how to party. Hey, even the children down there know how to party. They're like kids walking around with Modelo's. Well, how old are you? 8? I'm like, oh Lord, have mercy. No, there was no kids drinking. We didn't allow kids. to drink
nothing like that was going on.
No. But they know how to drink though.
Well, the big story in the NBA, aside from the playoffs, the lottery was held on Sunday, and the Atlanta Hawks, who had the 10th best odds, got the #1 pick. Unfortunately for them, there's no Victor Wembanyama. There's no Tim Duncan. I mean, there's no franchise-changing guy there. They're gonna get a good player, certainly, or maybe they'll trade the pick. But this is not the year where you really wanted to win the lottery.
No, next year's 25 is the one you want because there's a lot of talent. That they're probably saying there's a few Hall of Famers in that group. You never know though. I mean, listen, there's been a lot of guys get drafted late in previous drafts that turn out to be all-stars. So there could be a guy that no one's counting on to be a superstar player ends up being a superstar player. The talk though is like, you're hearing Trae Young, who used to be untradeable. His name was always, he's the one guy you can't have. You can have everybody on the roster but him. Now you're starting to hear his name come up in trades with San Antonio, which I said weeks ago, before it even got out, that would be a heck of a trade because I could see him and Wemby playing together and really causing havoc out in the Western Conference.
Well, remember, they gave up like 3 or 4 first-round draft picks to get DeJounte Murray in a trade from San Antonio. Now they're trying to get those picks back, and Trae Young might be the price because, the last 2 years, Atlanta was in the play-in situation, a lot like the Bulls. For whatever reason, the combination of Murray and Young didn't work very well.
No, and listen, I mean, they're two different guards. DeJounte Murray's got length, he's got size. He's a true point guard, and he's basically a two-way player. I mean, he can defend, he can score. Trae Young is a scorer, and he's always going to be tops in assists. He's always going to get 10 a game because he's such a dynamic dribbler. He can get to anywhere he wants to on the floor, and he's got unlimited range. But he doesn't play defense. And so when you're scoring 25, 30 points, you're giving up 25, 30. I mean, on any team he plays, they go at him. That's the one guy they go at all the time in the pick and roll defense, switching, post him up if he's on a bigger guy. So he's going to have to, I think playing with Greg Popovich would do wonders for his career. He's already been an all-star. He's always been one of the top players in his league. But I think finally being coached by someone he respects. Popovich gets respect by all the guys in the league. You hear DeMar DeRozan talk about him, his time playing there with him, and how much respect he has for Greg Popovich. It could do wonders for Trae's career and maybe get him to the point where now he's focusing on not just scoring but being a true point guard, getting the franchise player, because Wemby's going to be the franchise player. It's not going to be Trae Young. So you're going to have to get on the Wemby bandwagon. And the way he throws lobs, I mean, he got Clint Capella paid. He's got all their big guys, got to eat
John
because
Collins.
of him. They all got to eat because of him. He does a great job. He's one of the best guards in the league with a pick and roll to bigs, the dive cut, the guys who dive to the basket. We call them rim runners. He really finds those guys. And Wemby's one of those guys. Even though he can pick and pop, he also can, you throw it up there anywhere, he can go get it.
The Bulls stayed at number 11 in the draft order. And, this is the kind of draft where there's not a clear-cut number 1. Shoot, there's not a clear-cut top 5. You might get a player at 11 that turns out to be better than the guys in the top five.
Yeah.
And there's a guy that I like that's projected maybe to be there for the Bulls. This Dalton Connect kid
That's the
from
guy I like.
Tennessee
That's the guy
can
I like.
really shoot it. I guess they did
Yes.
shooting drills today, and he was just lighting it
I'm
up.
gonna tell you something. I think he's gonna go higher. I think once he gets in these individual workouts and people see they saw him in the tournament and how well he played in
Mhm.
the tournament against really good competition. I think this is gonna be a kid that's gonna get out there and he's gonna wow some people. And his size is 6'7". He can rebound. He can score. He can score at every level. And he's a tough kid. He's a tough kid. I think you're going to see him go higher than 11. All I would say, you got to take the best available player when you get past the top 10. You're still going to get a good player at 11. I just, in my opinion, I hope there's some bigs or some forwards there that the Bulls can draft because it's just, we're too small as it is.
Can't take another guard.
They've got to address that issue.
Yeah.
They've got to address that issue this summer. Small ball is not working for us. It works for certain teams, but it doesn't work for us. They need to go out and get some kind of size, a wing player, depending on what they're going to do with Zach LaVine. You hear his name still being tossed around in trade rumors because you can't have both those guys back. You're not going to be able to pay DeMar DeRozan and then with Zach makes, and then you got Patrick Williams you got to take care of too. So two of those guys are going to be here. We just don't know which two.
Right. One of them won't be. You're exactly right about that.
Yeah, one of them's not going to be here. So if Zach's the guy you're trading, maybe you trade him somewhere and you try to go get a top 3 pick in this draft. Even though this draft is not considered like these guys are considered rotational players. They're considered role players. Guys that can come in, be the 5th, 6th, option. Maybe some be higher than that. But you don't know. You can't really address that until you see these kids play. Because Donovan Mitchell went late, and look at him. There's a lot of guys. Jimmy Butler went late. Look at him. There's a lot of guys in the drafts that kind of slipped through the cracks. Draymond Green was down almost out the first round, and look what he's done at Golden State. So you can find those type of players. I just hope that the Bulls get some size. They definitely need to get some size.
Yeah, there's a couple guys from the G League Ignite program. Ron Holland, who was considered potentially the #1 pick coming into this season. He got hurt, didn't play a lot this year, but he's 6'8". He's a very athletic forward. He can play that wing position. And then a kid who grew up in this area who went to Hinsdale Central High School, Modest Buzelis, is projected as a top 6 pick. I saw him play at Now Arena when they played the Windy City Bulls. He's 6'10". He can shoot threes. He can run the floor. He would be a great guy if you traded up into the top 5 or 6 picks.
I saw him play a couple of games, and I was really impressed with the way he moves. He can shoot the ball. He can run. He's athletic as heck. He's just long. He's very long, and he can do a lot of different things. He's a guy, like I said, I project him to be higher. It all depends on what these other guys do. Because you still got the kid from UConn Klingen that people are high on. He could even be in the first pick of the draft if he goes out there and works well. I don't know what his measurements were today, but what you saw him in the tournament do was impressive. Big kid, can run the floor, rebound, rim protect, can play pick and pop, can play pick and dive. So a lot of these kids, Mark, it's going to depend on how well they do in individual workouts. Because now, when I came in the draft in '89, we didn't get to work out with another player. It was you came in, I come in with the Bulls, it's just me, and they're putting me through drills. Now they're bringing guys in that you're competing against the same size. So you might have 3 small forwards show up at a Bulls, training camp, and they're going at each other, and the teams are evaluating them based off of how they did against this guy. But that's really tough to do because that's a situation you really can't put too much stock in that because it's a one and done type situation. And one guy look at Tyrese Thomas. Tyrese Thomas had a great workout when he came for the Chicago. They passed on LaMarcus Aldridge to take Tyrese Thomas because of his athleticism, and he had a great workout. You got to be very careful with that because guys look good when the lights are not on. And when the lights come on, you want to see who is really good.
Yeah, another guy that's going to be in the Bulls range is Kyle Filipowski, a 7-footer out of Duke. The question is, can he shoot the ball with range? And I guess that's what they're going to try to find out in the individual workouts with teams.
Again, people are putting too much stock in what a guy can't do right now. You can always get better, be a better shooter. But is this a guy who right now is NBA ready defensively? I think he is. I think he can block shots. I think he can rebound. I think he can run. These are the things that he can do right now. You're not asking him to come in and get 25 points a game. He's not that kind of player. But what you're looking for in this player, what does he do well? What is he? Is he athletic enough to be on a pick and roll and be able to switch on guards and be able to move his feet, which at Duke he was able to do. Okay. He was able to switch out, move his feet, slide more than 2 slides, and stay in front of people. He can rebound the basketball. He runs the floor. These are things he could do. Now, what he can do, maybe he's not a great shooter from, distance, 3-point line. You can work on that. You can work on that. You can
I
get
saw
better.
Zach Edey was shooting threes at the combine today, and he says he's got that shot now.
Zach, listen, man. Listen, I like the kid. But I think it's going to be the same thing that you saw with Garza when he came out of Iowa. Garza was a 2-time player of the year, got all these accolades. And then when he got to the NBA, there was things that he just couldn't do. You can't get more athletic. You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
You can't. You can get a better shooter. You can be a better rebounder. You can be a better pick and roll guy. But if you're not athletic, it's not. You can't get more athletic. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
you
I know what
can't.
you're saying.
So when I saw it with Zach, if he was to focus on, in my opinion, forget scoring. Okay, if he was to say, "Hey, I'm gonna be a rim protector. I'm gonna block every shot. I'm gonna be that kind of guy," I think there's a place for him in this league. Yeah, I do. But if he wants to come in, because I saw him struggle against guys that are 6'7", 6'8", they're pushing him off the block. He's losing the ball. Where there's games he dominated, but there was games where he got pushed around by smaller guys, and there's a lot of smaller guys in the NBA that are super strong.
The Bulls were represented at the draft lottery by Julian Phillips, who's going to be coming back to play some summer league ball. He said he's not sure he's going to play, but I would imagine they will ask him to. 6'7", 6'8", good jumper, good rebounder. Do you think he can have a role with the team next year?
Yeah, I thought when Billy gave him minutes, I thought he played well. Injuries, like anything, slow young players down. And, he had to sit and wait for his opportunity. And when he got his opportunity, he made the best of it. He started knocking down that corner three with no hesitation. He's gonna go to the rim. He's gonna pick and dive, and he's gonna dunk everything he can. He can defend anybody on the floor. I think the big thing for Julian this summer is to get his body stronger. Both him and Dalen Terry in the weight room every single day. Try to put on 10 pounds of muscle, and then continue to work on your offensive game. Dalen Terry has an opportunity. I felt like he fought his way into the rotation last year. Now you fought yourself in the rotation. What are you going to do with it now? Okay, so you're going to have an opportunity at 6'7". He can guard 3 positions. He's going to have an opportunity to be in the rotation again this year, and you want to be better than you were last year. You want to be a lot better than you were last year. You want to be able to, you want to have that Io jump. You want to have that Kobe jump where, Io struggled with a 3-point line a couple of years ago. He comes back now, he's a 3-point shooter. Teams were backing off of him, daring to shoot. And, he started off hot, and then he got cold, and then he refused to take shots anymore. And then last year, the confidence was there. He did not hesitate to pull the 3-point. He'd come down sometimes, 1-on-4 and just jack a 3. You're like, okay, that wasn't Io 2 years ago. But you like to see that his mindset has changed to be more aggressive. And that's what you want to see Dalen Terry take that next step. You want to see Julian Phillips take that next step. You want to see Patrick Williams take that next step. And we've been waiting for Patrick Williams to take that next step. So that's going to be interesting to see what they do with him. Are they just going to give him a contract and say, okay, we're going to give you this money because we think you're worth this? Because they offered him, I think, $64 million at the beginning of
right. That's what Casey
Johnson reported. And if you're basing off his year, $64 million, he probably would take that now.
Sure, he would.
But he's looking at what the kid from Atlanta got.
DeAndre Hunter got.
Yeah, DeAndre Hunter. But DeAndre Hunter's available. He's playing a lot of games, and he's a two-way player. Patrick's going to have to show. He's going to have to bet on himself. He's going to have the Bulls. If they're the Bulls are going to do what they typically do with restricted free agents. Hey, go test the market, and if someone offers you a deal that we think is fair, then we'll match it.
Hey, speaking of young and athletic, I was working the G League Elite camp at Wintrust over the weekend. You know who I ran into? Gar Foreman. He's working for the New Orleans Pelicans. He's a senior advisor there. And it's funny, you go to these events and you see the same faces, year after year.
Different team, different teams. They're all there. There's these guys.
But he sends his regards, by the way.
That's my dude, man. I know Gar. Listen, I know Gar and Pax took a beating, lately. When they were in the office, but they did some really good things.
They drafted really well.
Listen. You always got to be careful what you ask for, people, fans and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Because and it's they took a beating. And those guys, some of the draft picks they got were impactful to this organization.
Well, look where they got Jimmy Butler at 30, Taj Gibson at 25.
Yeah.
Those are some
Yeah.
really good steals late in the first round.
And you're not going to hit a home run every time. You're not going to hit a home run every time. You go back and look at Marcus Teague.
Yeah, people kill him
People
on that
about
one.
Marcus
They could
Teague.
have Draymond Green.
But Marcus Teague at that time coming from Kentucky was a very good prospect.
And Derrick Rose was coming off
Derrick Rose was coming off
tear.
ACL injury. So that was a protection type of pick. And but I mean, you go back and they got, there people say, well, Doug McDermott was a bad pick. Doug McDermott's still in the league. He's still one of the top 3 shooters.
They got Mirotic late in the first round. He was a very productive player.
Yes, Mirotic in the first round. I mean, you Bobby Portis, who should have been a first round pick, was a second round pick. They were able to get, parlay that in. So I know people always want to throw, kick dirt on them and everything, but they did a good job. And the same thing is going with AK right now. AK, he's taking a beating right now on his draft picks. And I don't think it's fair because when you look at, he's been here, how many years now for him? 3?
No, it's been since 20, so it's like 5 years.
He's been here 5 years? AK been here 5 years?
Started in April of 20. So no, it's 4 years. 4 years.
I was gonna say it's like, but I mean, listen, the draft, unless you're drafting high, because his pick is gonna be Patrick Williams. He's gonna be tied to Patrick Williams for the rest of Patrick's career. Okay. So he believed that Patrick Williams and Mark Eversley believed Patrick Williams has a chance to be a star player. Now it's up to Patrick Williams to reward that faith. Someone needs to be telling him, these guys bet on you. Like, they're giving you every single opportunity to show what you can do. Now it's up to you to show what you can do. These guys bet on you.
Yeah.
Invested in you. Now it's up to the player to show that he's worth what they thought he was.
And he might lose his top lieutenant. I mentioned Mark Eversley was at the G League Elite Camp to be at the Combine as well. And he's under consideration to head up basketball ops with the Pistons. They could use some help. And this is the second year in a row they fell like a rock in the lottery, going from 1 to 5 this year.
Well, I mean, is the lottery broken?
Yeah.
I mean, you gotta, is it broken? Teams who are like bottom feeders, those teams, I know they have the best chance to get the number 1 pick, but come on, man. Come on, you gotta help Detroit out.
Yeah, I like the way they do it in the NFL. The worst teams get the picks.
Yeah, worst teams. Hey, listen, I've said this. They want to add some excitement to the game, just like they had the in-season tournament. That was fun and exciting. At the end of the season, you need to have all lottery teams. Okay, whatever the lottery team, the worst record teams, they're playing for the number 1 pick.
I like that.
They're playing for the number 1 pick. Just the bad teams who are not making the forget the playing games.
Yeah. The bottom 8 or whatever.
Bottom 8 teams.
Yeah.
And you have a round robin tournament. Think about how excited the fan bases would be for that. Because you're actually playing for something.
There's a big prize to get. Yeah.
So whoever wins this number 1, whoever's finished 2, and you just go right down, and no one can say that's not fair. Because whoever wins it earned it.
You're deciding it on the court.
Yes, they earned the number 1 pick. So if Detroit was the best team out of those teams that didn't make the playoffs, then they get the number 1 pick.
Yeah, I like that.
And have some excitement and fun, and it gives their fan bases something to look forward to, because not only are we playing for something, we're playing for our future as well. Could you imagine all the teams playing for Wemby?
Yeah.
And then you eliminate tanking, which they did this year with the 65 games. But you eliminate teams like even, like at the end of the year, like, man, let's just sit out. Let's bring up some G League guys now.
That's what Dallas did a year ago, so they could be bottom 10 and keep their pick because it was top 10 protected.
Yes. And then you eliminate that. You gotta earn it, and wherever you're at, wherever you end up being, that's your pick.
Yeah, that'd be great. If you're listening out there,
America.
Adam Silver.
Hey, and you can don't try to claim it as your idea either, because it's about the 4th time I said it. So if I ever see this pop up, Mark, and they get credit for it, I'm gonna call them out on it.
Well, last week's show, like many media outlets, we were getting ready to shovel some dirt on the Denver Nuggets, and boy, did they come back at her. I thought Anthony Edwards would keep that squad going at a high level. I don't know what happened to them on the flight.
Towns not showing up,
yeah,
and Rudy Gobert. The same thing that happens to him every year in the playoffs. He can't score, so therefore he's ineffective. So now, that takes your rim protector out the game because he's not scoring, okay? So you need Towns to step up. You need Mike Conley to step up. Edwards had 44 again. He shot an unbelievable percentage yesterday, and no one helped him out. So you can't say it's his kid's fault.
Yeah,
22-year-old
where's
kid.
Naz Reid?
Where's Naz Reid? Where's the sixth man of the year? Where are
Yeah.
all these people that that were like when they were up 2, they were all happy and we're this and that. And now you've allowed them to come in, win 2 games on the road, which is tough to do. Okay. Now the momentum switches back to Denver because now you had your chance. You had your chance. You need to at least get one of those games to go up 3-1.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you blew it. Because here they come now. This is what championship teams do now. They got their confidence back. Murray, these guys are hitting shots now. They're defending the way they need to defend, and they figured out Minnesota now. They're not going to stop Edwards, but they're going to shut everybody else down.
Well, Boston is going to roll over Cleveland. They're playing right now as we speak, and Donovan Mitchell is out because of a calf injury. So they've already lost Jared Allen for this series. He had a rib.
Rib.
Yeah, so he's been out. That series is going to be over. The other one in the East is interesting because the Knicks look like they had a good grasp on that, winning their first 2 games, but then they lost OG Anunoby, and that's really taken that defensive presence and size. Now they have to play a lot of small ball.
Mark, they should have lost one of those 2 games in New York. Right now, Indiana should probably be up 3-1 on them. I don't want to say the referees had something to do with it.
A lot of people are saying that.
But those 2 games, the officiating was horrible down the stretch, and it didn't favor Indiana, okay? Indiana goes back home where we knew they were going to play well. You knew it. And they win those 2 games. Halliburton has a great game. Siakam is playing like Siakam did in Toronto. And now with all the injuries, Brunson's hurt right now. His foot's banged up.
Yeah.
Nobi's out. Mitchell Robinson's out. Now it's like, okay, now Tibbs has to coach now. So it's like, oh man, I don't have my star players. All these minutes I played these guys, and we talked about this with a Tibb team. At the end of the year, you're grinding these guys, and they're wearing out in the playoffs.
Right.
They're getting hurt in the playoffs. And this is the time you don't want them hurt. You want them to be ready to play, and go through this playoff system. And now your star players are out.
Well, they made the trade for Bogdanovich, and he's hurt too.
He's hurt too.
Yeah.
A lot of his stuff is freak injuries, but you could tell Brunson is laboring a little bit. He doesn't have that explosive, first step or when he's posting up, being able to get his shot off. DiVincenzo on the road looks like looked like Cinderella had, the clock struck 12. In New York, he looks unbelievable, but on the road, he struggled.
And Josh Hart's the new Jimmy Butler playing 48 minutes.
Yeah, he's playing 48 minutes, and he's never coming out of the game. He's a Tibb favorite. He's Luol Deng and Jimmy Butler. That's Tibb's guy right there. But they're in trouble. They're in trouble because Indiana has the confidence of going to New York because they've had 15-point leads there and lost them. Okay, so if you're Rick Carlisle, you're telling your team like, hey, we were up both of those games and should have won at least one of them. Okay, so if we go in there and take care of business, don't turn the ball over, play strong with the basketball, because we talked about this last week. The officiating is not the same as it is in the regular season. The officials are allowing these players to play, and they're allowing them to bang, and they're allowing them to. I mean, there's been guys getting knocked to the floor that you go, okay, that was a foul. Like, that was a real foul. And they didn't call it,
Yeah.
And they're not calling it on either team. So you have to adjust to the way the style of play is and play through those fouls. And I thought Indiana did a much better job in Indiana playing through the fouls and the contact.
One series we haven't talked about yet is the Oklahoma City-Dallas series, and Oklahoma City took game 1 pretty easily. We're thinking, wow, they're the top seed. They swept the first round. This is going to be a walkthrough. But tell you what, you got a backcourt of established guys who are going to get calls like Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. They're going to be in these games, and they have a 2-game-to-1 lead heading into tonight's game.
Well, Dallas has some really good complementary players. They're a big team.
The big guys that got help.
They're a big team. PJ Washington, I've always liked him. And I liked him when he was in Charlotte. He's a stretch forward that can shoot shots. He's their third guy now.
Yeah.
He had a huge game, a couple of huge games
threes
that really propelled them to win those games, because you find yourself, Mark, worrying about Luka. You find yourself worrying about Kyrie Irving. So when your defense is geared up to stop those guys, you don't expect a PJ Washington to kill you. You don't expect a Lively to come in and get some points. You don't expect, a Gafford to come in and kill you. Okay. So now it's like once you solve one problem, you solve the second problem. Here comes the third, the fourth, and the fifth. And by the time you solve it, the superstar players now in the fourth quarter, they're killing you again. So they're gonna have to figure out, okay, what are we doing on this pick and roll? How are we stopping Kyrie Irving? Because what he's doing on the pick and roll, they're isolating him on a big guy, which forces rotational help. When you have to rotational help, you have wide open shooters, whether it be Luka or anybody else. Tim Hardaway came off
Tim
the
Hardaway,
bench.
Josh
He
Green.
came off the
they got
bench and they
guys,
had a
yeah.
big game the other night. So their role players are outplaying Oklahoma City's role players.
What do you think about Luka? You know, you watch him at times and he looks like he's overweight and he's hurt now, you know, so he's not moving very well.
No.
But damn if he doesn't get, 38 and 8 every game, and you wonder how the hell's he doing it?
He's a guy that plays below the rim. You know, he's not exceptionally quick, okay? But he always seems to get to where he wants to on the floor. No matter what you do, he's not blown by anybody, but he's deceptively quick. He's got a quick first step, and then he's got all that Euro stepping. Like he steps away from the defender and then gets separation. Now he's raising up for three. His step back 3-point shot is pretty much unguardable because he gets you, lulls you to sleep, jab step, and he goes, puts the ball on the floor, and all of a sudden he jumps like 10 feet away from you. You go, how do you do it? And Kyrie's doing the same thing. They both are really good at getting separation from the defense and forces you to have someone run over and help because that separation, I step away from you, I'm over here now. So now someone has to run over and help because you're too far off to contest the shot. Now, if I run over, if this person runs and helps, Kyrie's going by you off the bounce and he's finishing at the rim. He's one of the best finishers pound for pound in the league.
Yeah, it's a curious tandem, though, because they're both ball dominant. They both like to dribble the ball, and you wonder how that's going to work long term. We're going to see how far they get in these playoffs, but do you consider Luka a top 5 player in the league?
Yeah, I do. I think Luka, it all depends on what Luka is coming, okay?
Yeah.
Luka, a couple of years ago, was not in the best of shape, and he got himself in the best of shape, and then he was like unguardable. Okay, that's when he went through Phoenix, and they were doing all the chirping, and that was that year. Okay, this year he's been slowed a little bit with injury. I think he's had a hard time adjusting, giving the ball up to Kyrie. I think now he realized, like, hey, this takes pressure off me. I don't have to bring the ball up every single time. Now this guy can get us in our offense and be able to break his man down, and then he finds me for wide open jumpers. So I think he's adjusted his game to fit with what Kyrie's doing. Plus they got these bigs.
Made a big difference.
Yeah, huge difference because before you had Maxi Kleber. Maxi Kleber is a pick and pop guy. They are putting so much pressure downhill on the rim with Gafford and Lively. Those kids are flying to the rim, and it's always a dunk because you always are worrying about what Kyrie's doing and what Luka's doing there. And those two guys are such good passers off the bounce. It just puts so much pressure on you defensively.
A little bit of coaching news. Phoenix fired Frank Vogel, and they brought in Mike Budenholzer, which is kind of ironic because Budenholzer beat the Suns to win the championship in Milwaukee.
I'm going to tell you something.
Coaches, I know.
I'll tell you what, man. Listen.
You got $50 million. 5 years, $50 million for Mike Budenholzer.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Yeah. Okay, first of all, Frank Vogel, okay? They sabotaged Frank Vogel. The 3 superstars did. They sabotaged him.
Yeah, 1 year.
Yeah, one year they sabotaged him. Kevin Durant, it's a terrible mix of players. Okay, they need a point guard. They should have went out and got a point guard. Forget bringing Bradley Beal. First of all, Bradley Beal is not the Bradley Beal of 5 years ago.
Well, that's because the owner's a fanboy. He just wanted to bring in
these
stars.
Listen, man. Then go buy an Xbox and then make those trades on Xbox and play on a video game. In real life, he's always hurt. Yeah. He misses the majority of the season, always hurt. So you're bringing him on. You're bringing, you're pairing him up with Durant and Booker, 2 scorers, okay? Now you have no point guard to distribute the basketball. Chris Paul is probably the guy you should have kept, okay? Because he makes everybody's job so easy. He gives Booker more efficient shots. Durant would have got more efficient shots. Now you're asking Booker to be a point guard. He can play point guard in stretches, but you don't want your best scorer playing point guard because it takes the ball out of his hands and he has to make plays for others, which he's not strong at doing except for stretches. Now you're also saying to Beal, we want you to play point guard and let these other 2 get off. He's not a point guard. He's a scorer. Yeah. So now you look at you saying, okay, who's going to get shots? How are we going to get shots and be more efficient? Kevin Durant can get his shot anytime he wants to. He doesn't need you to run a play for him. Give me the ball, get out the way. I'm going to do my thing. The other 2 need screens. They need to be open. They need to, come off curls and stuff to get their shots off. Booker is one of the best at catch and shoots in the game. Both him and Zach are really, really good at catch and shoots. I'd like to see Zach LaVine do more of it, But Booker really, really is good at that mid-range, coming off a little curl action, jumping up and shoot it. But if you don't have a guard that can distribute that basketball to him, then that's one of his superpowers are gone now. The thing that makes him the superstar that he is now is gone. And so he becomes just a regular player that tries to beat you off the dribble. And he's not a bad athlete, but that's not his game.
Well, Coach Bud, good luck to you in Phoenix because they're going to run back that same group. They just gave Grayson Allen a big money extension. He's making like $14 million a year, and Nurkic.
Bud, I ain't mad at you. You get to play golf at the Biltmore.
Yeah.
You get $50 million to sit in the sun. Hey, if they fire you tomorrow, you taking that $50 million with your brother. Hey, he went into the bank. Hey, no mask on. He just robbed them. He just robbed them. Just recycle coaches, man. Get some new blood out there, America.
We might get it in Los Angeles. You think LeBron will bring in his podcast partner, JJ Redick, to coach?
Oh, my God.
That's a recipe for disaster.
And listen, they're going to draft Bronny at 17.
Oh, they'll take Bronny.
They're going to take Bronny at 17. LeBron's already told him, we got the 17 pick? Cool. Bronny's staying in the draft.
Yeah.
We found out today, America, they've been lying to us all along. They said Bronny was 6'3", 6'4", okay? I don't know if that was with high heels on or not, but Bronny is 6'1". I couldn't believe that today. I was like,
yeah.
Really?
Well, when you ever see him stand next to his dad just towers over him.
But I honestly thought he was 6'3". I was disappointed to hear that.
Yeah.
But also it all
at least
depends.
He got medically cleared, which is the good
that's the main thing. But the one thing about the combine, I remember when I went through it, they measure you with shoes off. Okay,
which makes
that's
no
not
sense.
fair.
Yeah.
No one's playing barefooted. Okay, so that kid probably was 6'1" with socks on, but he's probably 6'3" with shoes on. So measure the kid with shoes on.
I never understood
It's
that.
the same thing in the football combine, Mark. Okay, a guy can run a 4.2 40 in Hooters shorts and a top. Okay, but can he run a 4.2 40 with pads on in the middle of a football game?
He ain't that fast.
So if I'm the Bears or any other organization, I'm not even counting the combine. I'm gonna bring you in a private workout. Here, I want you to put on this Dallas Cowboy hat or Bears helmet, shoulder pads, and I'm gonna see what you run the 40 in your uniform.
Right. Yeah.
Now you find that guy runs a 4.2 40 in a Hooters top and Hooters orange shorts, and then he runs a 4.6 with pads on.
No, it's crazy. I was there the last 2 days, and you see all these people looking at the drills, the cone drills, and then the 40-yard sprint, and all the rest of the stuff, and you're like, why? Can a guy play or not? And some of these organizations are so analytic driven, they get paralyzed by all these numbers.
That is the worst thing that's ever happened to the NBA game, analytics, because you're asking guys to evaluate players, first of all, who've never played. They've never played any kind of basketball whatsoever, okay? And you're asking them to give you a detailed information of where you project this kid to be in 3 to 5 years, okay? Unless you Jerry West, guys who played the game that know how to evaluate players. If I'm anybody, I'm listening to Jerry West. I'm hiring Jerry West as a consultant.
Right.
Jerry West gonna be on my team. Jerry, what do you think about this kid here? And Jerry tells me, boom, boom, boom. All right, we're gonna keep that in mind. We're gonna draft this kid maybe because Jerry West is one of the best talent evaluators that we've in the history of the game. Jerry Krause was not far behind him. Jerry Krause will never get the credit he deserves. People boo him, but Jerry Krause knew talent. Whether you liked his appearance, you liked his attitude, you think he broke up the championship teams, whatever your beef with Jerry is, you can never discredit that man had an eye for talent. He's the one who found Scottie Pippen and traded Olden Polynice for Scottie Pippen, which turned out to be a robbery. Yeah. Okay, Charles Oakley, he found Charles Oakley when no one even knew about Charles Oakley. He was at HBCU, and they ended up finding him. So he's a very good talent evaluator. And that's what you need to go back to. You need to go back to these guys who know talent. Like, because if I'm scouting, Mark, this is me, okay? I'm going to practices unannounced. You never know. I'm not calling the school and say, hey, Stacey King, I'm coming to watch so-and-so this week. I'm not telling you. I'm just popping up. I want to see what this kid do, because most coaches tell kids, like, hey, the Bulls are here watching you.
Sure.
I don't want you to know I'm watching you. I want to see how you practice when you think no one's there. I want to see if you're competitive against your teammates. I'm going to watch you play at least 10 games. I'm going to see how you play against the Sisters of the Poor. Do you have the same energy and output against those teams do you do against the Kansas and Dukes? Because sometimes kids take plays off. Oh, we're playing a team that's not really good. I'm not going to play hard. I need to see what kind of motor you got. And that's how I'm evaluating players.
And that's what Jerry Krause did. That's what made him so
Exactly.
successful. We're going to talk a little bit of football. The Bears had their rookie mini camp over the weekend, and everyone's raving about what they've seen from Caleb Williams
Yes.
in his first couple of
I was
days
impressed.
in a
I was
Bears
impressed, Mark.
uniform. But first, I want to tell you about one of our good friends, our buddy Jeff Vukovich. When it comes to being treated like royalty for all your auto, home, and business needs, make sure you contact nationwide agent Jeff Vukovich. You can reach him at jeffvuk.com. That's jeffvuk.com. The phone number 847-825-4783. And he has the best jingle in the business, courtesy of our Stacey King.
Nationwide is on your side.
Nicely done on a Monday evening. We're going to talk a little bit of football coming up next on Gimme the Hot Sauce. Welcome back. Gimme the Hot Sauce, episode 178. Very interesting weekend in the city of Chicago. Caleb Williams put on that number 18 jersey for the first time. They weren't wearing pads. There was no contact, but people loved seeing him throwing the ball.
Listen, I came away impressed. I saw him throw. I mean, there was a drill where they had the wide receiver out wide and the receiver run probably 25, 30 yards, and he threw nothing but dimes. Like they were right on where the receiver could just run after the catch in full stride. I was impressed. I was impressed.
It's going to be interesting to see, the Blackhawks are fortunate enough to draft Connor Bedard. He's going to be one of the faces of hockey going forward. We got Caleb Williams. The Sky had a nice draft. They got the two young big players who are going to be big-time players in the WNBA. And all of a sudden, Chicago, all these teams were rebuilding. Now we got some star power, which is going to be a lot of fun for sports.
Yeah, fans. and those kids are going to grow up right in front of your eyes, because they're all young, So it's an exciting time to be, a Chicago sports fan. I would even throw Kobe White in there, who's
Absolutely,
like 23, 24 years old. He's starting to ascend as being, one of the faces of the Bulls franchise. So there's a lot of good young talent, and it's going to be fun to watch over the next few years.
It's nice that both Caleb and Rome Odunze were drafted in the top 10, and they've already developed this friendship. As we take a look, if you're following us on YouTube, you see some video of Caleb Williams throwing the football, and I think they're going to grow together, and that's going to be a lethal combination.
Well, and you got to remember, Odunze was rated very highly, so he could have went anywhere in that first round in the top 10 picks. So you're getting an elite receiver, and you already got a receiver room full of all pros. So now this kid's going to come in, he's going to learn from DJ Moore, he's going to learn, from Keenan Allen, and he's going to, learn from Cole Kmet. And so they're just like, he's going to learn these first couple of years. And then the quarterback, what better situation for a young quarterback to come in? You got all these freaking weapons. Like all you got to do is just get the ball out where it's supposed to be on time and let them do the operation, let them do their work. The offensive line is going to be something that you're going to have to watch because, what's the protecting scheme for this kid? Because you do not want him to take a beating. They've already named him the starter after one practice.
Right.
after one practice in a rookie.
And coaches rarely will do that.
They never do that.
Oh, no, we want to see
compete.
him.
Want him to compete. After the first day, after he walked on the field, he's our starter.
We're not even going to talk about that.
We're not even talking about it. So they've made him the starter. So now your job for the Bears is to make sure this kid stays upright. That he's not getting blitzed, he's not getting knocked on his butt where he loses confidence. Because we saw him in that Notre Dame game. We saw some games in college where he got rattled when the blitz came, when they were sending people at him, and the offensive line wasn't as good as it was the year before when he won the Heisman. So, that's something to keep an eye on. At least they got a running game. Swift is going to be a really good running back to run between the tackles and also catch balls out of the backfield. And the Bears running backs weren't bad last year.
Still got Khalil Herbert and Roshan Johnson.
Those guys were not bad last year.
Yeah.
They just didn't run the ball enough. They should have taken some pressure off of Justin Fields. But I can see what all the hype is just watching. If you're just basing his play in this rookie, rookie OTAs or whatever, he looks impressive. Like he looks like he has command of throwing the ball. He knows he's got a quick release. So I'm anxious. Look, I'm always going to still be a Justin Fields guy. But I tell you what, man, I want to see the Bears win. I don't care. I mean, they could have put a monkey back there with a Bob Avellini jersey on. I would have. And if he could throw that
Rest
football,
in peace, Bob Avellini.
Yeah, Bob Avellini. R.I.P. buddy. But if that monkey can throw a ball, I'm a fan of it. Let's go.
Yeah, it's all about the offensive line has to be solid. Yeah, he's got the bear claw going.
Bear claw.
I think that one of the things people were concerned about was is this kid going to come in really cocky with the Hollywood attitude and not be a member of the team? But he said all the right things at his introductory press conference at the start of rookie minicamp. He said, before you're going to be a leader, you got to be a follower.
Yeah.
You got to have your ears open and your mouth shut and learn from some of the veterans, which was the perfect thing to say. Whether or not he 100% believes that, it's the right thing to say.
Well, and I think, he took, last year, especially because he didn't win the Heisman. And they were ripping him a little bit.
Yeah.
He had chinks in the armor. How he carried himself sometimes. There was rumors that his teammates didn't like him at USC, but that turned out not to be true. So that's why you can't believe everything you read in the media, because some people are just clickbait. They're just making up things to try to. Because when I saw him working out in the summer at USC, you saw every team when he went back there, every one of his teammates was giving him a high five, giving him a big hug. They were happy to see him, and so I was like, okay, he's seems like a good teammate, and I think he's been well schooled on what to say. When you win a Heisman, there's a certain swagger you have when you win a Heisman, okay? You're in front of the media. Everything you do is scrutinized. The NIL deals he got from all that. So he is well versed, I believe, into being a star player. So it's just a matter of him coming in here and earning the respect of his teammates, because he knew coming in here that locker room was divided. He knew that. He's a smart kid. He knew that a lot of people wanted Justin Fields. A lot of people in that locker room loved Justin Fields, and they were riding for Justin Fields, okay? So now he's got to come over and win those guys over, which I see that he's doing right now, in his little rookie OTAs.
And he said that he wants, one of the first things, his priorities was to learn everybody's name. And that's a little thing, but that's important.
It's a little thing, especially the people, not just the players, people in the front
staff.
office, the staff. That's something that that's from good home training, I always say.
Mm-hmm.
Your parents are involved in your life. They always want you to make sure you know every neighbor in the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir. No, sir. Mrs. Johnson, Mr. Johnson. You're brought up that way. So, when you come, you become a professional athlete, you're still bringing all those things that you learned as a kid. You're bringing them with you. Because I'm big on that too. Like anybody I meet, I try to remember your name. If I see you again, you're shocked that I remember. I can see you 5 years later. I was like, Hey, what's up, Mike? Oh, damn, he remembers my name. That's a huge thing to do, and people respect that when you do that.
Talking about respect or lack thereof, we were talking about Justin Fields and the Steelers considering possibly having him as a kick returner. Oh, my gosh, are the mighty have fallen.
Listen.
Not that he couldn't do it, but you don't put a quarterback.
Mike Tomlin, you listen to me? Scrap that idea. This is not Cordell Stewart, man. Yeah. Scrap that idea, man. The kid's a quarterback, play him at quarterback. Like, they're trying to get him the ball any way they can. If you're going to do all that, then make some packages for him at the quarterback position. Things that Russell Wilson can't do, he can do. He can run out of the RPO system. Put some plays out there for him to go out there and maybe 12 plays a game.
Right, give him a chance to get out there
to operate
in the offense.
Exactly, because, a lot of times, Mark, when a quarterback is, like Russell Wilson, he struggled. He played better last year, but the year before he struggled. Last couple of years he struggled. So there might be a time he might get hurt this year. If your quarterback has not had any reps to come out there and play, you haven't put a package out there, especially a young, dynamic quarterback who's been a starter in this league. It's not like this is a guy who's never started. This guy's been a starter in this league. I know it's for the Bears, but he's been a starter. You want to have some packages out there to have him ready to play just in case. We're not saying he's going to be the starting quarterback, but if Russell Wilson goes down, if you need certain running plays that he's going to give you a better option, that he can actually run the football, that, Russell Wilson is not running the football like he used to, you got packages for Justin Fields. Don't put him back as a kick and punt return.
No, don't do that. Bad idea. One of the toughest things for any athlete is to decide that it's time to retire. And, we saw that with Tom Brady continuing to play into his mid-40s, and he even teased the fact that, well, if some contending team calls me late, I would consider it. Now we hear that J.J. Watt, who retired at a relatively young age, said he would consider coming back if the Texans want him. What do you think?
America. The great Kenny Rogers said, you got to know when to hold them and when to fold them.
Yeah.
JJ, stay in commentary, man. He's doing a good job. The body's not taking a beating. The football is such a demanding sport, man. You're lucky if you're able to walk when you're done with your career. And these guys who had played a long time and they're able to come out unscathed, without the hip surgeries and knee replacements and all that stuff, all the things that come along with football. I know a lot of Bears players. You watch some of these guys walking around, man, it's painful. Like, you just see them just walking, it's painful.
Kind of bent over, hard to move, mangled hands.
Yeah, mangled hands. So if you can get out of the game with minimal injury, do it, man. And if you got a job like both these guys have. I mean, Tom Brady's making bank just to
Sure.
show up.
Yeah.
You know,
He'll start his career with Fox coming
yeah.
up in the fall.
He's talking about he's the highest paid broadcaster,
Mm-hmm.
and he had no experience.
Doesn't have to be good either.
No,
just because
he's Tom Brady. All you gotta do is just look good, smile, and show a couple of rings, and he'll be good.
Although back in the day, I remember when they tried to make Joe Montana an analyst. He lasted like a year or two, and they said, "You know what, Joe?
No, Joe,
maybe
say it ain't so, Joe. No, say it ain't so." They gave Joe commercials where he's just drinking beer. He's not really saying anything. He's like he's drinking Guinness. You know, he's not saying anything. Mark.
Yeah.
The great Joe Montana. He said, "To hell with you. I got rings."
No question about it. Hey, before we take a break, why don't you tell the folks how they can get some of your delicious signature hot sauce?
Yes, here we go. Are you looking to score the hottest sauce in the game? Well, you're in luck. We got all the sauce your kitchen needs, from Chicago Fire 1871 to the hottest of the bunch to our King's favorite, St. Pat's Verde. Give Me the Hot Sauce has got you covered. Stop by GimmeTheHotSauce.com, walk in fire, and use code KING21 to get 21% off your first order. And I'm telling you right now, it's barbecue season right now.
That's right.
Get the barbecue sauce, America. King's Q. It's amazing. And the good thing about this, America, all this barbecue sauce, this is all organic. It's all good stuff in it, all healthy stuff. Make sure you pick up a bottle somewhere at your local Jewel, or go to GimmeTheHotSauce.com. We have those bottles, and soon we'll be on Amazon for all you Amazon shoppers, all you guys who are hoarders from Amazon. We'll be there soon.
And Timmy Whispers is still, when he gets back from Phoenix, he'll be packing up the sauce.
Packing
and
it up.
Sending it your way.
He's a packer. He's a guy that loves to pack.
We're going to talk a little WNBA, and Stacey's got some thoughts on UFC Fight Night when we wrap things up on Gimme the Hot Sauce. Final segment of this episode of Gimme the Hot Sauce. The WNBA season gets started Tuesday night. The Indiana Fever will be playing the Connecticut Sun, and the Sun has sold out that game. First time since 2003, their inaugural season. And everybody wants to see Caitlin Clark. And it was interesting. We saw some video and pictures on social media of the Fever taking their chartered flight to Connecticut. And that was a lot of fun. They're seeing what the NBA players are living like.
Yeah, let me tell you something. Shout out to Delta, the Delta program. That's what the NBA players fly on. And shout out to the WNBA for giving these girls an opportunity. I call it the Caitlin Clark effect. All these young kids that are coming in from college. This their effect. I mean, if it wasn't for them, this wouldn't be happening.
Yeah, I know that. I was talking to Russ Leonard. He works the director for Bulls games, and he also works for the Sky games. And there was a lot of talk, like some of the players were skeptical, like, where did this money magically come from? Like, wasn't it there all along? I don't know if they're just projecting what ratings are going to be and what they can get in their next TV deal. But the WNBA was always crying poor, and all of a sudden they found some money, and a lot of it is tied in, like you mentioned, with Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and some of these big name college players that are coming in.
Well, and again, I mean, Caitlin Clark, you got to give her credit because she made the game interesting. A lot of people were watching just her, at Iowa and what she was doing in her exploits the last 2 years. And then the women's basketball game in general, like, it's taken a huge, it's blown up.
Yeah, it's going to be a big year.
Because these girls are playing not like women. Like, they're actually doing things that you're like, whoa, like, I didn't know you could do that. There's girls dunking, the 3-point shooting, the passing of the basketball. I've always said, if you're a parent and you can't get to a Bulls game for whatever reason, take your kid to a WNBA game, because the game is they're able to watch the game and the fundamentals of the game, the passing, the screens, the cuts. They can learn how to play basketball the right way.
Yeah, unfortunately, with the Chicago Sky, they had a really great draft class, but their first pick, Camila Cardoso, is going to be out 4 to 6 weeks with a shoulder injury. And then their second round pick, Brenna Maxwell, who's a really good 3-point shooter, she hurt her knee, so they're going to be down a couple of players. They go on the road to play the Dallas Wings to start the season. I think with the new coach, Teresa Weatherspoon, it might take a year or two to finally hit their full stride, but they're going to be a team to watch with all that young talent.
Yeah, I mean, losing your big center, that hurts. I mean, that's not the way you want to start off. Yeah. She just came out from college and she had a great college career. But this next woman up, somebody's got to step up. I think Angel Reese has shown that she's got the ability to be a star player in this league. The one thing I've noticed with her is like her quickness. She's so much quicker than a lot of the bigger players in the WNBA. You know, when she was in college, it looked like, you know, her offensive game dipped a little bit. But since I've seen a couple of the games that she's played, I'm like, man, she's come ready to play. Like you can just say that like in college they had the NIL. You know what I'm saying? They had money coming in, they had revenue coming in on their own. And so maybe the hunger is not always there, you know, but now you see that these kids come into the WNBA, you know, the hunger's there. They want to show. I mean, they're Caitlin Clark's gonna be people going to her every single night. But I'm gonna tell you, she's answered the challenge of the games I've seen.
Yeah.
Like she's Steph Curry for real. Like we always thought it was Sabrina Ionescu, like, you know, because she's got 3-point shooting range. But this girl range is unlimited. She's open as soon as she gets off the bus.
Yeah.
Like I saw her, they try to pick her up at half court mark. She goes right by him and then pulls up, you know, right at the hash mark. You know, the Denzel Valentine range that we don't want Denzel shooting at, but we'll have Caitlin Clark shooting.
If you want to see,
I love you, boy.
If you want to see Caitlin Clark in action, almost all of their games, the Indiana Fever, are going to be nationally televised.
When they come to Chicago.
Yeah,
are they in the same conference?
They're gonna be here. I think it's in June.
Okay, I got hey Sky, what? June 1st? Yeah. Hey Sky, I'm just gonna, you know, I don't turn nothing down but my collar, but for that game, I definitely want to be there. I want to be a front row seat, right on the court, baby.
Yeah, Stacey will carry the jump ball out there. He'll take the.
No, I ain't doing all that, Mark. I ain't doing all that. I'm a fan. I want to see the Sky win the game, but I want to see Caitlin Clark up close. I want to see her game up close.
You're also a big fan of the UFC. What did you think of what you saw over the weekend?
Oh man, you know, UFC boxing was really the sport this weekend. Lomachenko, I'll tell you what, man. Everybody thought he was done, and he finds a way to shock everybody. You know, this guy had over 100 and something amateur fights. You know, where most guys were turning pro after 30 amateur fights. This guy, you know, was in the Olympics, a couple Olympics. You know, he stayed amateur for so long, and then he came in like in his 30s, like 30 years old. Normally, that's your prime, and you've already got probably 30 fights under your belt at a professional level. So when he first won his championship, he got a championship. His first championship, I think he had like 4 wins. You know, which is unheard of.
But
he's so skilled. He's so skilled, and the way he moves in the ring, like I mean, like he's like Floyd Mayweather. But with power, like he slips punches. He fought George Kambosos in Australia, and he had to go on the road to win that title. And you know, again, nobody wants to fight him. You know, he lost a close one to Devin Haney, which most people thought he won that fight. And then you know, the first guy who beat him, Teofimo Lopez beat him, and he did beat him. He beat him fair and square, but Devin Haney, I thought, lost that fight.
It's nice to see championship fights on basic cable too.
Yeah,
you know, not pay-per-view.
ESPN is doing a good job of you know, Friday night fights, Saturday night fights. They're putting, you know, good cards up. You know, there's some really good fights coming up. You know, again, you know, Ryan Garcia, who just beat Devin Haney, gave him his first loss. You know, they said he tested positive for PED. Then he took his second sample test, said he didn't take PED. So that win's going to stand up. But, you know, Devin Haney is kind of like a sore loser. You know, he wanted to be undefeated. And so he's basically trying to do everything he can to discredit Ryan Garcia's win by trumpeting that he lost, that he used drugs, he came in overweight, blah, 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 blah. Hey, man, you look bad. Just take the loss. You got beat. You took the guy lightly. You probably didn't train as hard as you needed to train to beat this guy, because I said that Ryan Garcia was putting on an act by acting like he was drinking and acting like he didn't care, and he's smoking weed and he's doing all this crazy stuff. So I think Devin Haney bought into it like, oh, this dude's not serious. I'm going to kill this dude. But he doesn't knock anybody out. Devin Haney doesn't have power. So Ryan Garcia had no respect for his power and was just walked him down and beat him fair and square. I mean, the referee should have probably stopped the fight and let him finish him, because he had a chance to finish him like 2 or 3 times, and the referee saved his ass like a bunch of times. He got knocked down like 7 times.
The other thing that people who don't follow the UFC don't understand is these guys fight every week. I mean, every week. It's crazy, the schedule, and as brutal as the sport is.
And they're not getting paid. If you're not like one of the top guys in the UFC, like you're not the champion level guys, your paycheck is really small. And then whatever you make, you have to split it up with your corner. So these guys are basically almost fighting for free, you know.
Yeah.
So and they
Rough
have
way to
no,
make a living.
and they have no union. They have no union, you know, there's no medical insurance and stuff like that. They got to get that on their own. So you got to feel for these guys, man. They're going out there every single night, putting their health, their safety on the line. Possibly may be the last time they go in the ring or come out of a ring. So every time is a life or death situation. Oh, Lord, have mercy. Man, hey, man, you got to warn me. You just can't put that on the screen. America. Who is this? Okay, see, America, for you guys who can't see this, for the people who can see it on YouTube, this is why these guys, they should get paid more than what they get paid. Look at this guy's face.
Oh, my gosh.
It looks like hamburger, okay?
Yeah.
And is that the next night, at the next day? 2 days later, the swelling's gone down, but
he's fighting the next Saturday, too.
Yeah, he's fighting next Saturday. He's probably going to Saudi Arabia to fight. But this is why when you look at these guys, man, like you got to give them the utmost respect.
Yeah,
you know, you can't never say nothing bad about a mixed martial arts fighter, because they earn everything they get. And this is why they should get paid more, and they should have health insurance. Because what if you don't have health insurance?
Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah.
Cisco, good work getting that up there.
Cisco, way to go, Cisco.
Yeah. Timely.
Yeah, he scared the shit out of me, though, because I was like talking to you. I turned over, I see it like a monster. I'm like, what is this, a haunted shop? What is it, a haunted house? We showing a horror film? Way to go, guys. But it scares over here.
Speaking of watching, Stacey, what do you got recommendations?
Oh, throw it up there, Cisco.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just saw a great movie, a Guy Ritchie movie, The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. And if you ever see Inglourious Bastards with Brad Pitt, it's very similar. Same time frame, World War II, but it's the British version. Britain was about ready to lose the war. They had to pull some guys out of prison. These guys were every one of these guys are in this movie were like top-notch something, where they've been bomb experts. They're experts in military combat. They're all badasses. Every one of them can fight. So they send these guys undercover to blow up U-boats from Germany, try to sabotage Germany's chances of winning the war, which they end up doing. And it's an awesome movie. Superman Henry Cavill's in it. If you're a Reacher fan, my big man Reacher on the TV show, he's in it.
Yeah.
Alan Richter, I think that's his name, Richter. He's in it. It's a great, great movie.
You know, I watched a Guy Ritchie movie recently from a couple of years back, The Covenant. That was really good, too.
Covenant was good.
I mean, some of that was hard to believe, though, where he's carrying him up the mountain.
Yeah.
You know, after the Army sergeant had been shot. I don't think he would have made it.
I don't think he would have made it either. The shoulders out, dropping him. Like, hey, man, I love you, man. Hey, I'll tell your family about you. Don't worry about it. I'll make a good story. You went out like a soldier.
But then, was it Jake Gyllenhaal came back and saved him?
Jake Gyllenhaal, Roadhouse. Terrible remake. Did you see it, Mark? Roadhouse?
No, because you told me it was bad. I ain't going to watch it.
You saw the original.
Yeah, but
see, there's certain movies, America, that don't need to be remade.
Again.
Don't do remakes. Patrick Swayze's Roadhouse is the best. Okay, this other one is a knockoff. It's like an Aldi's brand.
Yeah.
Okay, you're shopping at Mariano's or Whole Foods, and you go to Aldi. Okay, Conor McGregor's in it. I'm a Conor McGregor fan, but terrible actor. Terrible acting. He's acting himself, and he's being himself. That's the crazy thing. But you know, it's just the remake was terrible. The first one was the best. Ben Gazzara, Patrick Swayze. I mean, they're just a really good cast and a really good storyline. It was believable. This was a little bit not believable.
Hey, if you like a reality series, I know we talked about it in previous years. It's season 3 of Welcome to Wrexham. Oh. This is the Welsh soccer team that's owned by Hollywood stars Ryan Reynolds. And I'm blanking on the other guy's name right now. The guy from Always Sunny.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yeah. But anyway, these two Hollywood guys own this team. And it's the story of the struggles of them trying to get what they had a shitty facility to train and to play in. And they built it up. They brought in more talent. They've earned promotion up the ladder in European soccer. They were at the very bottom. And every year they move up another level. And they've got some great behind-the-scenes stories about the players and some of the. Last week they did something on one of the photographers that captures some of the images surrounding the team, and it's really well done. The soccer action is good, but it's the stories about the people involved that
it's like Ted Lasso.
Yeah, but it's real as opposed to fictional. So if you get a chance, it's on FX. It also streams on Hulu after each episode. So It's a lot of fun to watch and gets my high recommendation.
What season is this?
This is season 3. So the previous 2 seasons are available on Hulu if you've got that service. So I think that pretty much wraps it up for us. But is Mike out in the parking lot or?
Yeah, Mike's out there. He's out there doing push-ups in the rain. He's got his strength back now.
Yeah.
He's got the double mint twins now. They're the double mint quadruplets. There's like 8 of them now. There's 8 of them. There's 8 of them now. 8 of the juicy fruit, the mint. They're all over there. We got all flavors now. But he's doing good. He's doing good. Good to have Mike back. Caesar, my other driver, he's mad at me for all the little jokes. He said he's coming after me.
No, he can't be mad about that.
He said he's coming after me. He's got all the little tiny jokes I made of him when he was here last time. Yeah, he said if I see him in my vent, just be prepared.
Yeah.
He's small enough to be in the vent.
Wow.
So we're in Windy City. Windy City Limousine.
That's right.
Windy City Limousine provides championship service. Making a reservation is so easy, it's a slam dunk. Let Windy City break the full court pressure of traffic and get you to your destination in style and on time. Contact them at 847-916-9300. That's 847-916-9300. Or visit them at windycitylimos.com. Get you a Sprinter bus. There's proms this weekend.
Yeah.
Call them up. Get you a Sprinter. Sprinter vans, party vans.
Yeah.
You don't want anybody drinking and driving. Let Windy City get you to your destination safely. And tell them Stacey sent you, but you don't get a discount. Just say Stacey sent you.
We mentioned we're taping on a Monday evening. We've got the basketball game going on, and Jaylen Brown just hit a shot that's going to sink the Cavaliers. They're up by 8 now with a minute to go.
Oh, man.
And so that'll put the Celtics up 3-1. They'll have a chance to wrap it up in Boston in Game 5. So we want to thank everybody for watching and listening. We want to thank our crew. We also got our guy Nick here, who's doing some great work on social media.
He's our social media maven. Boy, he does good work.
He'll be posting some clips from this episode. You can follow it on X and all the Gimme the Hot Sauce accounts. So we appreciate him being here. I think the food has arrived, so it's time for us to say goodbye. And,
Look at it.
And every now and again, the old age sinks in. I've remembered who the other guy is. Rob McElhenney. I'm sorry, Rob. I'm sure you're listening to the podcast. So he's married to Caitlin Olsen.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, she was also in the Always Sunny cast, the Smart Alec.
The Smart Alec chick. Yeah. Okay.
So they're actually married in real life.
I didn't know that. No wonder why they look a little handsy on
so
that show.
Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney are the guys that own that team, and watch them on Welcome to Wrexham. So that's about it. You got anything else for us?
That's it. America, thank you again for tuning in to this wonderful show. We couldn't do this without you.
Make sure to like and subscribe so we try to boost those numbers on YouTube. Tell your friends to give it a sample. Your mama,
your daddy, your grandma, whoever, your aunt, your auntie, your dog, your fish, your goldfish, whoever can watch a podcast.
Whoever can press a button saying they subscribe.
Here's the thing, America. It's live right now, but the replay comes out the next day. So those who missed the show today, you get a chance to see the replay.
Available on demand. This is episode 178.
178.
You can catch any of the other 177 if you go to YouTube.
They said we'd never make 2.
Yeah.
Surprise, surprise. We're at 178 and still counting.
All right, America, time to say goodbye.
Now it's time to say goodbye to all our company.
Gimme the Hot Sauce Podcast.
Yes. Yeah, Mark, I like that, Mark. I was going to say Mickey Mouse. I like that. GIMMETHEHO. H-O-T.
Sauce.
Oh, I misspelled it.
All right,
I've been drinking.
He's putting down the banner. What are we doing?
That's terrible. Driving home safely. They tried to cut me off, America. I almost misspelled hot sauce. I've been drinking on the podcast. I'm sorry. Drive home safely. Beep, beep.